Hi there everyone. We've got a rather special couple of episodes coming up for you. Now, you will understand why when you watch the episode, but Sharon and I were supposed to be getting together, but for one reason or another we couldn't. So what we did was we got together online and Sharon showed me how to use these fabulous Kuretake pens. They're really special, really fabulous, work brilliantly, and Sharon is a past master at using them. So we sat down and we got together and we got painting and we got painting and we carried on talking and we got painting. So it's going to be an incredibly long episode. So we've split it into two. So in this first episode, we play with the pens. Sharon shows me how they work and we really just have a bit of a mess around. So we're working out all the things that the pen can do. We do a little pumpkin or satsuma, depending on your perspective. So really the first episode is about showing how the pens work, how you can use them and what you can do. And then there'll be another episode coming up. In the next episode we'll be looking at doing more of a piece. Do you want a sneaky peek? Would you like a sneaky peek? In the next episode, Sharon shows me how to do this. I'm showing you no more right now. No more, that's all you're allowed. So in this first episode we'll be learning how they work, and then in the second episode I'll be looking at how to do that eye. And Sharon is a very good tutor, so she talks me through it beautifully. So enjoy the episode and I will see you very soon. Sharon, here we are. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you very much. Been one of those weeks, but we get over one of those weeks, don't we?
We have, haven't we? And we should have been back together filming, and I caused us a problem, didn't I? So we're having a go at doing something different online this time.
Tell everybody why you caused the problem.
Okay, well, I was due to come down and see you, and I accidentally broke my foot.
Ouch.
Snapped one of my metatarsals, and it's absolutely fine now, but obviously our diaries haven't quite linked back up again yet. We will, but
Right.
yes, unfortunately I wasn't able to drive for a few weeks, and so it meant it's a long walk with one foot.
Yes, absolutely. We'd miss a couple of episodes, wouldn't we, if you had to walk it?
We would.
I believe you kicked a step, didn't you?
Something like that. Yeah, I kicked it, tripped up. I'm not sure what I did with it. I was, who knows, but I was rushing back to the car and then I was jogging up some steps like you do, and then I was on the floor and then it hurt. So
yeah.
I went and got it checked out. So it's fine. It's fine. And you've been in the wars as well this week. So,
Yeah.
What happened to you?
Oh, me, it's always me. We all have those weeks when everything's beautiful and then suddenly everything just happens all at once. And I've just been telling Denise that I've been teaching this morning, and the hall that I teach in has just been decorated. It's beautiful. You walk in and you get that eau de paint, the one that sort of hits you and gets the back of your throat as you walk into the place. And I put my trolley, my arty trolley down, just left it whilst I was working and painting, and thank goodness I'd taken all the electrical equipment out of it, because the next thing I know my bag's full of water and the hole somewhere had sprung a leak and it was dripping down, running down the window and dripping off the window. So I mean a serious leak. So I've come home a bit soggy.
So we've both had a bit of a time of it, but we are delighted, absolutely delighted to be here with you. And can you tell me what we're going to do? Because I've never used this product before. What are you going to show me, Sharon?
We're going to try something that we're seeing at the moment everywhere on social media and on eBay and Amazon and Facebook. These wonderful brush pens. We're going to use, we've both got a set of 24 of these brush pens, and they are the Kuretake make. I like these very much. They're Japanese, and it just says quality to me.
Well, you've demonstrated these on television before, haven't you?
Yes, I've had these on TV and worked with them on TV, and I'm going to take them out so that you can see them. You know, people who know me know that I am absolutely anal about my colours all being in nice kind of rows. I do like, if I've got a box of pencils, I can't bear them all to be just higgledy-piggledy. I like to see all the oranges together.
Just like all the oranges, let's face it, you don't worry about any other colour.
That's true, that's true. But honestly, for this particular job, the only way to see what you've got is to take them out so that we can have them in front of us as we're looking at them.
Do the same. Now, I don't have a fancy little tray like you do, but I do have a space. So
you're working on a nice flat surface, aren't you? I'm ever so slightly raked, so I'd land up with them all in my lap.
No, I'm just on the desk. Right. So do we have an order that you like to put these in, or just whatever I feel?
No,
like?
not at all. Just to have them out so that we can see the colours, because the colour is predominantly here on the top end of the pencil.
Okay, yes, we've got that.
But
also matches
very well in the box.
Sorry, say again.
I'm just saying you can't really see that very well when it's in the box. So
no,
you know, to be able to see the colour that you're dealing with, here we are. All right. Now, having said that, I would land up with them in my lap. I'm a bit of a fibber, really, because every pen has got this anti-roll. All right.
Oh, isn't that clever?
So each and every one, it won't run away from you.
How does that work?
You know, it's quite useful. But you do have the safety cap so that kiddies can't swallow them, you know, and come to grief with them.
Ooh,
they're really rather, I think they're very, very pretty. I like these very much. Beautiful, beautiful sharp points on them. Gorgeous points on the pen themselves.
Mine in some rough order, but I'm out of sight from you. So I hope you don't object to that.
Not at all. And these are, the pens are Pigment Ink. It's pigment.
Okay, so it is pigment. So what does that mean for artists?
Well, if we're artists, it means for us that we don't have any problems with decay of colour. They're light fast and they'll stay there. I mean, obviously, we have to bear in mind that if you're going to put a picture up on the wall and it's going to be there in daylight and in sunlight, you need to watch that, because that will fade anything, realistically, won't it? And particularly the fugitive colours. And what are the fugitive colours?
Well, they tend to be more of the, it depends on the brand and the make, but I find the yellows are very fugitive.
Yeah, yellows, pinks.
Yeah.
Pinks are a bit delicate. So, you know,
colours tend to be more substantial, and the pretty brights tend to be more fugitive, don't they?
Yeah, yeah. So we've just got to think about that.
If we treat the finished work like we would a watercolour and not leave it in direct sunlight, we should be fine with them because they are pigment.
Absolutely. Yes. Oh. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yes. So, do you fancy having a go?
I would love to have a go, and I'm excited, a little bit nervous, because, you know, it's not often these days that you have no idea what you're going to do.
Wow, let's have a try. I'm going to turn some studio lights on so that you can see my drawing board properly, and we'll get started.
What do I need to do first? What do I need to pick up?
Well, I'm going to, realistically, let's start basic with what we're going to use, what we're going to draw on. You know, what is our base for this? I'm going to use a mixed media pad. I've had this for all sorts of things. You can use it for mixed media, no surprise there then. Or we can come into this with pens and brushes. You could use it for acrylic, all sorts of things. Basically, if you're going to play, this is a good pad to use. And the paper itself, we're talking about A4, and it's 250 GSM. So it's a good quality, you know, thick
Well,
enough
I've
paper.
got this one, which is a cartridge drawing paper, but it's 220 GSM, so it's not far off your one.
No, that's lovely. And what kind of surface have you got? Is your surface
It's
smooth
quite
or?
smooth. It is a cartridge paper type finish, so it's not like a watercolor paper. It's just a smooth finish.
Yeah.
But it does say it's suitable for brush pens, a light wash, pencils, pastels. So I thought it would be quite suitable for this.
So there was the magic, the brush pens.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, that's why I picked it. I saw it and I thought, yes, that'll hold what we're looking for.
That'll do. Well, these are great fun to use. They're very bright. So you have to be aware that subtle might have to go out the window for a little bit.
I can be subtle, I can be bright, I can be anything you like.
You know, having said that, of course, some of the colours are pretty pale.
Yeah.
So that's okay.
Yeah. What I like, you were talking about the end of the pen having that little bit of colour on there, but of course that's got exactly the same colour on there, so that makes it easy to see what we've got.
Yeah, so this is again another reason why I like to kind of have them out, so that I've got total visual awareness of what I'm grabbing for.
Yeah,
you know,
it does help.
Wait sometimes for it to dry, do you?
No, not at all. And yeah, that is nice. Do I need any colour in particular? What are we going to start with?
Well, let's start with something that's bright that everybody can see. So let's go for one of the lovely blues.
One of the lovely blues. Well, of course, I'm going to go for the turquoise.
Let's play. Let's just play.
Before we do that, can I just have a quick look at the pen itself?
Yeah.
Clean colour, real brush. So it's a proper brush tip, which I'm sure we'll show people in just a second. So it's a water base. It tells you about the company. This one I've picked up is Cobalt Blue. Have you got the same one?
I've got Cobalt Blue. How funny.
You know what? And look, you know, it matches, doesn't it? It matches what I'm wearing. Well, we've said this before, Sharon. I'm going to say nothing else. The number of times when I've messaged you and you said, I've just done that. And, you know, yes, absolutely. Okay, so I'll take the lid off, and then what do I do?
I want you to just get the feel for the pen. So it's a case of using the tip, teeny little lines. But of course, the harder you press, the more you express.
Wow.
And then you put it off again.
And also, tip, you can press harder to get thicker lines. But also, tip, you can dip, can't you, and flatten.
Look at that. So little tadpoles even, look.
That's beautifully clean, isn't it?
And the colours are all transparent, they're beautiful, so we can see through them, which is really rather nice.
Yes.
And this gives you total control, because for me, if I'm painting and I'm drawing, for painting hair, on somebody or fur,
but just so fine,
isn't it? It's beautiful. For calligraphy, because of course you can come up and down and up.
I've never been able to do calligraphy very well.
Well, the thing is, if you've got a pen like this, maybe it's a little bit different. They're beautiful. I just think
I quite like about that in the way I've done that. I'm just going to try and lift this up a little bit. Can you?
Yeah.
Can I get it in focus? There's a little bit here where there's a few broken marks in it because I lifted the brush off the paper a little bit, and I really like those bits.
Yeah. Well, it makes it interesting, doesn't it? That's here with mine around the edges and where I've lifted off on that tail end, and you've got fractured edges down here. Now, bear in mind, everybody, a lot of that's going to depend on the paper that you use, because of course, if you're going to use paper that has a slightly rougher surface, Denise and I are working on a surface that is it's a very, very smooth surface, and that's called hot pressed, because that's literally what they do with it. They iron it. And if you're working on a surface that is rough, so we call that not, N-O-T, in capital letters. So N O-T. And you know something? There's no great clue here. It just means it's not hot pressed. So if you're working on a rough surface, you're going to get a completely different feel and a different texture from these brushes. They will behave differently because they'll skip over the dips in the paper.
But depending on how you do this, you can still get some dipping on a smooth surface if you just hold the brush right.
Use the brushes on the side.
I love the fact that it's a brush. It feels very familiar to use.
Yeah, for watercolorists and for you know, acrylic artists who work in thin acrylic, they'll know that feel of the brush, won't they? If you've used water brushes as well, of course, this is the same sort of feel that you'd be expecting from that. But I love where you get that dip, the thick and thin, and that total, you know, if you were painting the veins on a leaf, as small as you might be doing it, there you go, you've got these lovely little veins.
Yeah, well, that's really nice. Well, you know, I like painting my seas, and I was just having a look here. You could get that dip of...
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
Get those little overlaying. And I suppose you're going to show me in a minute, I'm sure, how and when the best time is to overlay stuff.
Totally. You've got so many choices. We've done this. Now, what happens if we take a brush and we add water to this? Now, bear in mind, we've left this and we've allowed it to dry. All right, so I'm now dry. And I can go into that and I can just gently move it.
Oh, how lovely. It's very subtle, isn't it? That's where your subtlety comes from.
Yes.
And can you lift it well? Yes.
We let that move. You can come in again and you can lift more. So it's up to you at what stage you might want to go in. You can pull the colour out so that you get lovely, fine colour. So if I come into here, move it. There's a song there somewhere, isn't there?
I like to move
and
it.
We can pull that out.
Nobody wants me to sing, Sharon. You've got a beautiful... Nobody wants me to sing. You've got a beautiful voice.
Oh. We've done that. Now what happens? Let's choose a different colour, Denise, so that people can see what we're doing with different things. Do you fancy having a little play with a red? The colour range is phenomenal. I mean, you can buy a set of 78, you know.
Wow. But they at least have a bright red in each kit, you know, so they've given you a really nice broad selection.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so well, I have mine red, which is two up the shelf from yours.
Let's see how they differ, shall we? Okay. What I want to do with this though is drop some water in first. So I want to cover it. I don't want it flooded. I just want it wet and shiny. Okay. Okay. And then you see we can paint into that. Look, Denise.
Oh, it just moves, doesn't it? That's delicious.
So the paper's drying already. The paper's quite thirsty because, of course, underneath these lines, in the suntan. But when the paper is really wet, let me do this right up close to the camera so that you can see where I'm going with it. So if I drop that into the wet area, now you can see that that really moves.
Isn't it? Yes, I've managed to get.
So that gives you a much softer effect. And then, of course, we can come into that and we can move that too.
Right, so let's move. Let's see, look, you say they're not subtle, but they are beautifully subtle.
Yes, they're not subtle if you use them on their own straight from the pen nib.
Yeah.
The brush tip. So you have to.
You can blend them as well, can't you? I'm just looking at this beautiful subtle colours.
You've got to work them in a different way, but if I put my red next to my blue,
okay,
and then I come in and I put my water through there, I will get my mauve, you see.
Yes. Let's just do a little bit of that.
If we take our blue and our red together,
right,
I can put my colour down. So I'm going to lay my red down.
Yeah.
And then I can shade. So I can come in with my blue whilst it's still wet.
Okay.
And I can manipulate it that way.
Crikey. Oh, let me try that. So does that get affected? Do you pick up one colour on the nib of the other?
Yes.
If you clean it?
And all you've got to do is come in and wipe its nose.
Oh, just a little dab dab. Who doesn't dab it these days?
Yeah. Now I've done that wet.
Okay.
I painted that in wet.
That's the subtlety.
I mean, that's how many different ways to use it now? 4, 3, 4, 4?
At least.
Yes.
At least.
Yes. Now I want a different colour again.
I'm going to dab my brushes before I put them away.
Oh, yes. Make sure they're clean.
Yes.
And when you're working with this water technique here, where you put a puddle of water down and then drop the colour in, you'll find that for just a few seconds, it wicks the colour away from the nib. So you've just got to give it time to infill again before you go back and offer up. Unless you want to go in with it paler and then watch the darkness.
Yes.
Just saying.
So what colour have you picked up next, Sharon? Let me see if I have that one.
Grabbed the deep green, number 44. So on each particular cylinder, you've got the number there, and there's the colour. All right.
Deep green, number 44. Yeah.
Right. Now, what do we do now? What we can do now, this is green, this is this beautiful green, and that's a lovely dark colour like so. I can get hold of that and I can do what we've done previously, and I can pull it out so that it's thin like this. And I can keep going with a nice clean brush to keep thinning it. So that's one way to achieve a pale green. If you wanted to use that for shading, I could also, with a damp brush, come in and lift from the tip of the brush, and now I can paint with that.
Oh, okay.
And you can see that the water has vaguely bleached the tip of the brush.
Right, so it's just taking the colour out of the top there.
It's infilling already as I'm talking to you.
Okay.
So I like doing that. If I'm doing something like a face and I need the nuances of the shading on a face, or in somebody's eyes, and you just want a bit of shadow there, you don't want to go in with a brush full belt, full colour, you can do that. And it's a good way to just lift and have control. Because
you show me doing that from the brush tip, but I presume I could come into this bit as well.
Yeah, you could,
and lift from there.
Yeah. I mean, the other way to go about that, if you want to, is to have a separate piece of paper next to you. Let's find a clean page. And if you've got a piece of paper next to you, you could always offer some up onto the paper.
Yeah, and use it as a palette.
You could come in, and you could lift and you can paint. So if you had large areas to paint that you wanted a pale colour for, that's the way I would go about it. Because we've seen from here that you can move it and lift it even when it's dry.
Yes.
So we know that we can do that. So now the other thing we can do, which is quite scary, let us take...
Okay.
Oh, what should we choose, everybody? I'm going to go for a purple, and I want a pale pink. Have you got a purple and a pale pink?
I've got two purples. I've got violet or light violet, and I have a very, very pale pink, which is light pink.
So I've got light pink, and I'm going to go with a violet, because I think that they are...
contrast, isn't it?
Yeah. And you see what we can do with those to really put the cat amongst the pigeons is we can do what we can do with so many other pens, we can marry them up together.
Oh, you're
And
a
then
sneaky what's it?
look. So what happens when I use that?
Oh, it fades from one to the other. Oh, how delicious. Right.
It
So
just makes it a little bit more fun, doesn't it? So this is the kind of effect that you get from those chameleon pens, you know, the ones that
yes.
we saw from our teaser on the market last year, the year before.
Yeah, I remember those. Right, so I've put that on there. Purple, purple, very pale purple, and I now have pink.
It's fun, isn't it?
Well, that's clever. That's really clever.
I think it's fun.
It is.
And again, you've got to do is just give it a wipe to make sure that it's clean. The dark ones are usually all right. It's the lighter pens, of course, that suffer from that kind of mistreatment.
Abuse.
I'm sure they forgive us.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
I'm sure they do. So, for instance, if we were going to put a practical, going to use those three colours. So, Denise, I've now got bright yellow,
Yeah.
orange, and red.
Okay. So bright yellow, red, and orange. Okay.
Okay. And I'm going to start with the yellow, and I want to offer up. We're going to paint a pumpkin.
Oh, okay.
So the first port of call is just to colour it all in, and I'm going to use the yellow for that. So start with the highlight first, the highlight colour.
Right. Am I all right using the back, or do I need another piece?
I'm using the back.
Okay.
Thrifty I am. People often buy a painting of mine and turn it over and say, oh, there's something on the back, did you know? Yes, I'm just reusing the paper. So that's our yellow.
Okay.
Oh, your yellow is a lot lighter than mine, isn't it?
Mine is just called yellow. Yours is more of a buttery sort of yellow, isn't it? An egg yolk yellow.
All right, yes. So you've got this one here, and I've used the bright yellow. So that's interesting. So you see, they're the differences in the colour.
I have got the bright yellow, and I chose not to use it because
it would be nice to see the difference, wouldn't it? Really?
Yeah.
How are you doing?
With the yellow, Sharon, it's not covering in places. Do I just need to? Oh, that's better. I just needed to give it a shake.
Oh, right. Okay.
Probably just been sat in the drawer for a while.
Yes, that's true, everybody, and that's a good point. If it's pigment, and these pens are designed to be kept stored upright.
To be kept stored
upright.
Oh, okay.
They say to you, don't store them flat, and
Okay.
don't store them pen nib down. They say store them upright.
Right.
Mid-tone, which is for me the orange.
Yeah, I've got orange.
And I want to use this to lay my shadows in. So round the back of the pumpkin, these two lumps that you see here are the, the pumpkin at the back. And then down the side, imagine that it's in you're looking at three, I don't know what you call it. Yeah.
I like the word globe.
Yes, globe is good, isn't it? I want shadow on the bottom like this.
Okay.
So that we've got that shadow where it's sitting. And then how about we go back to the first colour and we use that to blend.
Ooh. Ooh, now we're getting clever.
So this is the blending technique, everyone, that you'd use if you were painting with proper graphic pens, if you shot, what are they called? Copic pens. And
The things that graphic designers would use.
Yeah,
to
spirit-based pen. Yes, yeah. You go over one colour and another, one colour and another until you get the tone that you want. So, I mean, this is still damp, everybody. You know, the paper itself and the ink on the paper is still a bit damp. So it's blending nice and easily at the moment.
Beautiful. Now I've shaken my yellow. That's actually working really well. I think it had just been sat there for a bit.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm going to dab before I put that down so I don't forget.
Yeah. And then I'm going to take the red and I'm going to more or less repeat the same. I'm going to come right in there so that I get a lovely tight shadow in there.
Okay.
And I want a really tight shadow in the back part of that as well. Little bit in there, just in the corner. There's a little bit in there. And then we go back to the mid-tone colour, which was our orange. And then you blend the red onto the orange. And that's how easy it is to blend.
That's lovely. Because
nice.
my habit, I don't know, because I'm used to using brushes, I'd be tempted to go in with a water brush or something now to blend.
No, you don't need to. Don't need to.
Colour, isn't it?
And you see where I've got this dark line here? I'm just going to come back in with the yellow into that and blend it away with the yellow.
Okay.
There we go. Take the pigment off with your cloth and then come in and smooth. And you can get a nice smooth finish. Now your average pumpkin struggles a little bit as it nudges up against the pumpkin next door and all that nonsense. So I'm going to take, this is light grey, and I'm just going to do some of those little bits of scumbly bits where the slugs have had a little go. Like this. To give it a little teeny bit of texture. And then how about, this is my favourite green, this one. Try the pale green. I like this one.
Pale green, yeah, I've got that.
This. And then I'm going to just pull the orange from the top, pull it with it. To give you a bit of colour, just for the outline like that. Clean it. And then use the green. And then we're going to use a darker green.
Okay. Got olive green. Do you have olive?
I have, yeah, I've got that one here. Let's do the veins in the olive, shall we? Whilst it's still a bit damp so that they fade and soften. Now I'm just coming into the tip of the leaf like that. Now, for those gardeners amongst you, you will notice that is total and utter rubbish because a leaf on a pumpkin doesn't look anything like that.
It's a bit more bumpy, isn't it? And lumpy, but you know.
This is artistic impression.
How about we do this, Sharon? Look, I'm gonna draw a bit of a wiggle around the outside.
Do.
And then come back to.
How about stalkage? Look.
Yeah, we need stalkage. And then I'm going to come back in with my light, with another, bit of that. Where's the green I was using? Do you know, I couldn't find it because it was in my hands.
We all do that, don't we?
And I'm going to blend all of those together.
Oh, hold it up and let's have a look when you've done.
If we can get that to focus.
Oh, yeah. That's nice. Yep. Yep. Yep, that's good. That's just what we want.
Like
I
that.
look more like a satsuma.
Nothing wrong with it. Let's make, I like a big bumpy leaf. Let's.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, a Christmas satsuma. Oh dear.
Now, come on, if we're gonna play this game, Sharon.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, you're putting shadow underneath it. Okay, I'm with you.
You're with me?
Yeah.
You knew I'd be a rebel as a student, didn't you? You knew you were going to go, oh, for God's sake, just do as you're told, woman.
I don't care. It's nice to be innovative, isn't it? And I'm using water underneath mine. Are you? Yes, you are. She's there ahead of me. So we can fade that out. There we go. And some of these, you know, some of the colours bleed into other colours, just like, you know, different inks sometimes do, if we're lucky.
Well, I've got a bit of the red that I used bleeding into my grey, which is
that's quite nice as well, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's very, very basic for the blending. So do you fancy having a go at something a little more exciting and dramatic?
Oh, I think so. I think I might even get a fresh piece of paper for this.
Yes, I would. Let's have another piece of paper.
Put that in.
Let me show you some of the work that I've done with these brushes in the past.
Please do.
Oh, I'm going to lift it out from under the camera. Otherwise, you will not be able to see what I'm showing you. Here we go.
Oh, that is lovely.
The snowdrop's very appropriate for this time of year.
Completely.
And there's all the techniques here. I mean, everything from writing and lots of water to get this background. And then this was water where I just dropped the colour into the water. So the technique that we've been using.
That's beautiful.
And then this one here. Now, it's worth noting that salt will work on this. So this is salt. You know, this one I painted
because it's pigment, isn't it? It's sucking in the colour from the pigment.
Yes, yeah.
Perfect.
I wanted to know whether it would work.
Yes, but it does.
And it does work. And the other thing about this is the doorway. I've glazed one colour on top of another, and that works too. So as long as you kind of swipe it through, and I did it with a brush, not with the, I took colour from this with the brush and then just wiped it on.
Yeah.
As long as you don't go in there and do this, it won't move what's underneath. It just goes on and lays on top.
As long as you're delicate.
Yes, yes. But here's the wet into wet techniques again, where I've just wet the doorway and then literally offered this up and allowed it to drip in. And here, get some lovely effects with it.
Yeah, that's
lovely
great.
effect. And if you don't like it, just get a brush and pull it a little bit.
Yeah.
So this is what you can do.
The other thing about it is, I know, you know, there's lots of people who are home painters and hobby painters who don't have a dedicated space in which to do their work. And because they're pens, they're clean.
Oh,
so
very.
Now, palette and paint, and you know, so yeah, that's really lovely, particularly for people who are yeah,
no mess at all. You don't have to worry about stuff splashing anywhere, or
well, you do it you like me, because I do try and splash, but you know, we have both had moments when we've been out painting with the brush dippers. We've been sat in a field somewhere and we've gone, is it raining? And then you go, ah, no, that was me.
It's colour rain, yes.
But we've both done it to each other, haven't we?
I can remember sitting next to you and then saying, oh, thank you, Denise, for your offering as it's come my way.
Yeah. I think I think I have to hold my hands up and say I'm more guilty of it than you are, but I think we have both done it.
She's wonderful when she paints. She just sits there and goes like this. and it just magic. It just makes magic. And you know, sometimes you have to be brave enough with your artwork to do that.
Yeah.
You know, you okay, so be controlled, but at times just let it go and be exciting with it.
And it's what makes a painting exciting is contrast. So I'm not saying always let go.
No.
But when you let go next to somewhere where you're going to have control, or underneath somewhere you're going to have some control, then it gives you that really exciting, you know, two parts rubbing up against one another. It's fabulous.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? I like it anyway. Good fun. Yeah.
Well, thank you for watching that episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I loved the playing aspect of working with these pens, and they really are rather fabulous. So I'm going to give you another sneaky little peek here. Next time, this is what Sharon shows me how to do. No more. You'll have to come back for the next episode, but she talks me through that step by step, and it really is good fun. So we will see you next time for more of the Kuretake pens.